7 o'clock, okay? I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call of Alderman.
Alderman Hazel. Alderman Kinsella. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Bittner. Alderman Tyler. Alderman Randall. Alderman Ovian. Alderman Anthony. Alderman Silsby. Alderman Dillman. Alderman Seibert. Alderman White. Alderman Galletti. Alderman Elmore. Alderman Wigington. Alderman Musgrove.
Did we hear from Alderman White, anybody?
Yes.
We did hear from him.
Yes. He's out of town.
Okay, very good, because I didn't recall a phone call, but very good. Alderman White's excused. Roll call of department heads.
City Attorney Horner.
Here.
City Treasurer Hart.
Here.
Police Chief Clay. Fire Chief Poor. Ken Vaughn. Royce Carlisle. Jamie Matrit. Tim Gregowitz. Jim Schneider. Leander Spearman. Chuck Schaefer. Bob Sabo. Debbie Belleville. And Nissa McCaskill.
Mike Parks is here for Chuck Schaefer. I think that was everybody. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, would you join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. We have no public hearings this week. I think next meeting we will. Public participation, we will start in just a minute, but before we start, I just want to remind everybody, when you raise your hand, I will call on you. You have 2 to 3 minutes to speak. Come to the microphone, please give your name, and try to stick to a topic on tonight's agenda. This is a pretty full agenda tonight, and it would be great if we could kind of stick to the business at hand this week. With that, I will also remind you quickly before we do open public participation of the emergency evacuation plans. If we had to leave this council chambers for the purpose of a storm or anything of that nature, that we would seek shelter in the basement of the city hall. The officers would guide you as you go out, across the lobby, right across from the clerk's desk, go down the stairs to the designated storm shelter. If we had fire or smoke or something where we had to evacuate the building, we would ask that you'd go out the front of the main part of the building here and then carefully cross the street and meet in front of the courthouse sign so that we could kind of find out and see if everybody thinks that the person there sitting next to them has showed up, and we can keep track of everybody. So we appreciate those calm responses if ever needed. So at this time, I'll open public participation. Is anyone this evening? Yes, ma'am.
2 negative, Lillian Schneider. I do pay my sewer and trash bills on all 4 years on council. Before and after, I never had water shut-off notices or late notices on my sewer and trash, as we have some. 2 things. When is the process going to start to get the referendum started to eliminate the treasurer's position? We were promised that it would be left up to the people, and it needs to get started. With these students living in a dwelling with improper ordinance and occupancy permit, can all the people, city officials, have to go to prison if there is a tragedy such as a death, injury to the students? I'm asking this question for in case it does happen, that no one can say they didn't know of the problems. Fire department or any of them, none of these students should be in these dwellings now. They should be out. Not just a monetary lawsuit, but prison time. Is this like manslaughter or negligence on the cities? Aldermen are sworn in to do the right thing. I hope all votes on this matter are taken into consideration to the law and the ordinance that the city of Belleville has let us not play follow the leader. Let's not play God of endangering the lives of the students when we know it is wrong because we know of the problems. I have repeated this many times. Where are we going to go with these students? Parents will be really shocked to find out they have to come get their students. Lindenwood and the city knew what they were doing. Instead of taking these properties off the tax roll, let the landlords that would like to make this kind of rent and follow the ordinance that the college didn't have to. The college could give a list of landlords that are willing to rent to you without 16 students in one house. Law would have to be enforced, not like a curtain hanging for a bedroom door. The fire department should have stopped that right away. Taxpayers beware of who will be picking up the slack. Who wants to live next to a college dorm? Do parents know what's going on? What happens to West Main Street? And then I have a problem to show you in proof that our housing, it's who you know and what you know. I filled out a FOIA. You have a house on Kansas and you have a house on B Street by both aldermen. The man moves out of the house on Kansas, moves into a vacant house on B Street. Neither one of the houses had to have an occupancy permit or an inspection. The lady that moved in the house on Kansas, we were having a yard sale, and it was very embarrassing to know that our city lets that kind of people move in without. She literally pulled the U-Haul truck down the street and said, "Get out of our way." And that was not right. She didn't even have an occupancy permit, or the house wasn't even inspected, and she was moving in. The man that moved out of there moved into the second house. There's 3 houses that were vacant on B Street. The second one from Douglas and on B. He moves in, the garage door looks like stuff. It's right down the street from the new alderman. Now you tell me our housing department is fair. I called it in, and the lady that I talked to, she politely said, no, there will be no tickets issued. Now that is wrong, especially when you have the alderman living right next to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi everyone, my name is Dawn Marie, and I just want to say I was homeless for 18 months, and I finally had a friend help me out off the street, and I don't stay there all the time. I come and go, and I got a $150 fine that I have to pay, and there's 12 kids living in a dorm in the college, and they got signs out front asking for an extension. So they get more time to have a permit. How come they don't get a fine? Thank you. God bless.
Sir? Yes, sir.
Stuart Lannert, 318 South 29th Street. First of all, the more people in a home, the greater the electric load will be on wiring, as nowadays everybody's got half a dozen electric appliances. You got 15 kids in a house, and ain't gonna be long before you're gonna have electrical fire with all their this and that they hook up. They'll probably have extension cords all over the place. Now, I'm just going to try to keep this simple, because most of these, I don't think that's just about what it takes to keep it simple. To try to keep it simple, if I or any other taxpayer of Belleville were stopped by the police and he wanted to see driver's license and insurance card, and I told the officer I'd been meaning to get that. In fact, I was going to get it next week. I wonder if he would say, okay, don't forget. Seems that is what Lindenwood has done in regards to permits and zoning laws. Why should a taxpayer and voter have to obey the rules, and Lindenwood comes in and does whatever it wants? No respect for Belleville. I predict some lawsuits by owners of rental units who are going to have to jump through all kinds of hoops to have just 1 or 2 people in their units, but Lindenwood could cram in 10 or 12 with no occupancy permits, background checks, or anything. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir, in the back of the room, standing up.
My name's John Reichert, and I own a business in Belleville, 1912 North Bell East. 10 years ago, you would drive by the old Belleville West, and it looked nothing at all like it looks today. When I went to college, and when I visited colleges, we had 4 to a room on bunk beds. Now, that was in a fraternity house. The room was like 30 by 30, and there were 4 squares, 15 foot by 15 foot. You had a living room, bedroom, and a bathroom. Now, it's much nicer today. I don't know if they're using bunk beds. They weren't at my daughter's place, but they had 2-door room. It was still a small room, but you had your beds on the floor. The codes that Lindenwood follows via the city, which I was a strong believer in our crime-free ordinance to make sure that we would have safe places for people to live, will keep our students safe. You can have more than 3 people in a home. I personally bought a home at 3101 West Main in hopes that it could become a rental or sell to someone else who wanted an investment. Well, it hasn't gone that well for me, but what I have noticed by driving around the area is we have less homes for sale, in my opinion. The area looks so much nicer. We have so many law enforcement that are helping patrol the Lindenwood campus and I believe communicate with the Belleville law enforcement group. I don't know of a house that has 16 students living in it. But I will tell you this, any other city in Southern Illinois would love to have Lindenwood University and their tortoise. It was on news tonight, the Channel 5 News was showing their pet tortoise. But just the PR, the goodwill, the momentum that's being driven for our city with Lindenwood, and what Lindenwood will continue to do for this community, I think we're not looking here for the long range. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Good evening. My name is Tim Faltus, and I'm the owner of Belcourt Banquet Center. I'm here this evening to answer any questions that any of you have regarding a proposed development agreement between the City of Belleville and my business, Belcourt Banquet Center, which centers around the installation of a new elevator and other ADA compliant issues that have been required by the city. Thank you.
No. Thank you, Tim. Yes, sir, the blue.
Good evening. My name is Noah Bremer. I live on West A Street. I think it was about 2 months ago that I first came before the council and addressed some issues that I was having. Some of them is within the power of the council to address, directly, indirectly. Some of them it's not within the council's power to address. The ones that are, the traffic issues, the litter, I gotta say, I haven't really seen any increased police presence. The things that I have seen have been my wife having to grab up my daughter and jump out of the way of a college student speeding by at about 50 miles an hour. Numerous students running stop signs. Just certain things that I would like maybe addressed since it's been 2 months since I first came and made a complaint about some of the traffic issues that are within the city's power to at least patrol and try and correct. When I first bought this house 5 years ago, I bought it, it was in foreclosure, it was vacant for 2 years. I put $30,000 into it immediately. $30,000 is a number that Lindenwood loves to bandy about, so I'd like to make it clear that it's not just the university that is investing in these communities. My investment is worth no more or no less than that of a corporate citizen. Since then, I've put $85,000 into the roof because I was trying to maintain how the roof looked when it was first built, not just cheaping out and putting the easiest thing I could put on there. I have made numerous improvements. I've done all of this following city code, following ordinance. My occupancy stays within ordinance. We're not asking for the improvements that Lindenwood is making in the area to stop. Again, all that we're asking is that the law be applied fairly, first off, and secondly, be applied as it's written until it's changed. Thank you.
Yes, sir, in the back of the room.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Daniel Wind. I'm an engineer representing Mr. Alan Leving, and it's agenda item 11F-1 for a site plan at 4529 West Main. Just want to say that Mr. Leving and members of the development team are here this evening to answer any questions you may have when you get to the item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Michael Hagberg. Just to address a few of the things on the Lindenwood comments and that I know of is that, yes, in the dorms, they are using bunk beds. There's 3 to a room. If you look at the layout and the comments that have been made by the fire chief. The other comment was that crime-free housing has something to do with Lindenwood and these student dwellings. That's not true because crime-free housing doesn't apply to them. The other comment was made about the number of police on Lindenwood campus patrolling. Lindenwood has their own security, and incidences are related to their security, never reported to our police, therefore don't show up on the blotter. And the public is unaware of the true nature of the crime on campus because it's hidden within the Lindenwood confines. Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Hearing none, I'm going to close public participation. This time we'll move into the presentations, recognition, and appointments. The first item is, I'm going to read a brief proclamation and ask that you bear with me a second here. Is there anyone here from the Extra Mile? I didn't think they were going to be able to make it tonight, but this pertains to a lot of our groups. So it says, whereas the city of Belleville is a community that acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service, and is why Belleville actively works to be a community of character. And whereas Belleville is a community that encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas it is evident with the establishment of the basic initiative, Belleville's Community of Character Initiative, and is evident through the community-wide projects such as Paint the Town, the Mission Continues at Southside Park project, the Bellevue Park Community Workday, the Belleville Helping Belleville Service Days, and as well as the countless continuing service rising from our schools, churches, service agencies, and businesses, which has helped establish Belleville's status as an all-American city in 2011. And whereas Belleville chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community, and will honor such individuals at its annual Citizens of Character Dinner. And whereas Belleville acknowledges the mission of the Extra Mile America Foundation to create 550 Extra Mile cities in Belleville, and it's proud to support the Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2015, as Belleville, being a community of character, continues to highlight the belief that communities are made stronger through individuals and organizations who dedicate themselves to going the extra mile in volunteerism and service. Now, therefore, I, Mark W. Eckert, Mayor of the City of Belleville, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2015 to be Extra Mile Day in Belleville, and encourage each individual and in our community to take the time on this day to go the extra mile in his or her own life, and to acknowledge all those around us who are inspirational in their efforts to make their organizations, families, communities, neighborhoods, and country or world a better place. I wanted to read that tonight because I think it really goes hand in hand. We just finished the Belleville Helping Belleville Days. We had over 200 volunteers. We had a number of service projects again, and this is a pretty good segue again into the next group that's coming here to present something to the Belleville Parks and Rec tonight for their extra mile work. Carol Bartle, I think, is coming forward. I don't know if Judge Grandy's also coming up. And Debbie, you want to come up and receive this? I think it'd be appropriate, our Director of Parks.
Hi. We're here on behalf of the Shriners Parade Run Committee. We want to thank you all for your support this year. This run was put together real quickly in 2 months' time. And we had the dream team. We had Carol Barlow here hounding everyone in town for money and to raise for the sponsorships. We have our lovely shirt here I will model for all of us. It was an all-city presentation. The shirts were designed by a student from Belleville West. Cute as can be. And we raised $3,800. Well, we actually raised twice that much. The proceeds were divided half between the City of Belleville Parks Department and half with the Shriners Hospital. And so we were really proud of all the efforts that the community came out with and helped us to make this race possible. The parks provided benches, Union United Methodist Church provided the site, and then the street was simply already there. We didn't have to shut down anything or add any more manpower. We were just running down the same street we already had shut down for the parade. So we plan to do it again this year. So we want you all to get out. Mayor, we have a little prize for you too. In addition to the check for Debbie, I won't waste any more time. I got important stuff.
Oh, wow, just I need is a medal.
There, you get the medal. Next year, though, you're going to have to run it if you want another one.
Can you walk it?
Or walk it, or walk it, or walk it, or walk it.
Walk it, I'll do.
Yeah, it's a relatively inexpensive race. For $25, you get the shirt and the medal and free water and stuff at the church afterwards. So thank you all very much. Carol, did you make the presentation check? Carol Bartle, there, thank you.
And thank you, these ladies, if they have a mission, they're gonna get it, so they're great.
Thank you, ladies. You know, this was all part of the unbelievable efforts, and all three of those ladies were involved on the 200th anniversary committee, as well as many other people here tonight and been here many times. But the 200th, as you know, we had an activity twice a month for a year. And this was one that was put together relatively quickly, but it was very successful. And I do thank you. And I know the Parks Department can use $3,800, so that's great. Okay, at this time we move into the regular portion of the meeting. We have the City Council minutes of October 5th. I ask for a motion to accept and file? Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Hazel. Any discussions, additions, or corrections? All in favor of accepting and file the minutes from October 5th signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have the claims and payroll and disbursements. It's broke down on your thing how it's the claims and disbursements of one item, and then we had the payroll ending October 2nd. I'd ask for a motion to approve paying these two items put together.
So
Do I hear
moved.
who was the motion? Motion by Alderman Elmore, second by Alderman Seibert. Do I hear any discussion?
Quick question, Mayor.
Yes.
Under the police department, there was a $9,702 expense to Lindenwood University. What was that for?
Jamie, is that their student reimbursement?
That's for the officers who are going to school.
Yeah. Per the contract, the officers who are going to school there, we pay their tuition directly. That's a pretty regular expense in the payout. Yeah, it's for any school, not just Lindenwood, but we have quite a few of them going to Lindenwood.
I thought, is it a direct payment to the school or is it to the officers?
Lindenwood sets up where you can direct pay them instead of reimbursing officers and officers pay.
Okay.
That's the way it's been set up there for a while, I think, hasn't it, Chief?
It's better that way for the officers. In the past, they would have to pay the bill up front, and then wait to be reimbursed. And now, through Lindenwood, at least we have it set up where they will take the payment directly, and the officers don't have to pay the money.
After the class children go down.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, answer the question. So we have a motion, we have a second to pay the claims, payroll, and disbursements. Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Schmidt. Bittner.
Aye.
Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Silsby. Dentelman. Seibert. Galletti. Elmore. Wiggington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. We have a treasurer's report.
Right.
Statement of cash and investments.
Payroll.
Sorry.
I have a question. We were discussing this when we took the vote. Back on the minutes, there should be a correction made on the vote on the library committee. The vote was not unanimous. The vote was aye with everyone, and Alderman Bittner voted nay. He just said he did?
And Galati did too.
Galletti did too?
Okay, so would you all acknowledge that typo we need to get?
We'll just fix that, yeah.
We'll just fix that, okay? Thank you for noticing it. I didn't have my minutes in front of me. I apologize. What's that? We're going to 9.
I just thought the-
We did both of them together. We did them together, yeah. Okay, we're going to the treasurer's report. I ask for a motion to accept and file the statement of cash and investments for September. Do I hear that motion? Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Schmidt. Do I hear any discussion? All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report of cash and investments and filing it for audit signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Oral reports, I'd ask for a motion to approve the zoning board.
Yeah, 11A1, Case 28, September 15, Dunkin' Donuts, COTRI Architects, request for a special use permit in order to allow for outdoor dining for Dunkin' Donuts Restaurant at 660 Carlisle Avenue, parcel 08-23.0-401-099, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Galetti, second by Alderman Elmore. Discussion on this. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and having the proper ordinance drawn.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motions from Health and Housing.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the demolition bid from Hayes Contracting in the amount of $72,768 for 216 North 3rd, 1102 LaSalle, 314 North Church Street, 316 East B Street, 818 West Washington, and 504 South First Street, with the stipulation that the owner of 1102 LaSalle Street will enter into an agreement with the city and will have 60 days to bring the exterior of the property into code compliance. 1102 LaSalle will then be removed from the demolition bid in the amount of $11,282, and the total amount owed to Hayes Contracting will be $61,486. And I so moved.
Motion by Alderman Consilla, second by Alderman Schmidt. Mr. Sable, Hayes did agree to this since our last meeting, right? Okay, so we're moving forward, and we're not exactly sure how that's gonna pan out yet totally, but we're making progress, right? Okay, everybody understand? Yes, sir?
Question?
Yeah.
Did the property at 1102 LaSalle, did that individual rescind wanting to go ahead and demolish it on himself?
No, what I did receive is an email that Mr. Betts pulled away from the chance to rehab it. So the Belleville Historical Society has backed out. The other gentleman is not gonna rehab it, but he wants to take it down himself, which, we're going through that yet, but this is starting to all really pan out, and it'll probably be included in the demolition, but we'll know more in a few days. But I heard today, late today, that Mr. Betts has pulled out of his side of it, so we're waiting to get a clear picture, but it's kind of starting to unfold, okay? So with that, there's a stipulation in here how to handle this. Roll call.
Just need a second. I don't have a second yet.
I'm sorry.
Did you?
we had a
I'm
second.
sorry. Okay, thank you. Hazel. Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby. Dintelman.
Aye.
Seibert. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington. Musgrove.
I'd also like to make a motion to terminate the grass contracting agreement with Grassroots Incorporated and advertise for bid on a new 3-year grass agreement contract.
Motion by Alderman Consilla, second by Alderman Schmidt. And everybody understands the explanation was given at a committee meeting that the gentleman who owned the company passed away. So this would give us a chance to go out for bid and start fresh and new over the winter. Okay? We have a motion, we have a second. Since it is a contract, I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler. Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dintelman.
Aye.
Seibert. Galletti. Elmore. Wigington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. At this time from Finance, Dr. Silsby.
Your Honor, on behalf of the Finance Committee, I'd like to make a motion to accept the fiscal year end 4/30/15 audit. So moved.
Motion by Dr. Silsby, second by Alderman Dillman. Discussion about the audit. Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella. Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler. Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby. Dintelman. Seibert. Galletti. Elmore. Wigington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. I'm sure Kevin's not upset if he doesn't have to make any great speech. But I do want to thank you for you and your team for the audit, and we appreciate it. Okay? Unless you had something to add. In committee we did fine. Very good. Okay, we move on. Mr. Seibert, streets.
Yes, Your Honor, I have two motions to make. If there's no objection, I'll read them, have them voted on as one.
I think you can.
Yes.
Motion to approve the low bidder Chris Brothers asphalt in the amount of $135,807.23 for the asphalt patch program, and a motion to approve the low bidder RCS Construction in the amount of $145,684 for the concrete patch program. So moved.
Motion by Alderman Seibert, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Wiggington, do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. This time, economic development.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the development agreement with Belcourt Banquet Center for remodeling of the existing facility located at 120 North Jackson Street.
Motion by Alderman Kinsella, second by Alderman Schmidt. Discussion.
Your Honor, if I may, I'd like to just make some remarks here. In a couple of minutes, we're going to take a vote on whether to approve or decline the business development agreement with Belcourt Banquet Center. And while I have nothing against the owners of Belcourt, I intend to vote no on this proposal for reasons which I'm going to outline for this council and those attending this evening's meeting. Little background information. This past April 1st, Mayor Eckert noted during the Economic Development and Annexation Committee meeting his desire to hold a public hearing in the near future to discuss extending the boundaries of TIF 17, the East Main Street TIF. He noted city-owned buildings that could benefit from the expansion of TIF 17. We also heard from some hardworking citizens aligned with the efforts to restore the historically significant Gustav Kerner home, which would benefit from inclusion in the expansion of TIF 17. I would also mention the mayor's remarks about how infrastructure improvement along Muscuda Avenue could potentially lift the hopes that many vacant properties along the corridor might be filled as a result of those infrastructure improvements if and when they would be made. And I believe a great many people would agree these are noble and laudable reasons for requesting the expansion of TIF 17. I raised some questions during the meeting that were unable to be answered at that time, and the mayor requested I email him so he and staff could follow up with me. I found my email answered in a timely manner the following morning by Jamie Matrit, Director of Finance. What follows are the questions I asked and the responses received Thursday, April 2nd, 2015. Question: what is the current balance in TIF 17? Answer: as of today, $895.52. Question: how much revenue does TIF 17 produce annually? Answer: based on the estimates for next year's budget, approximately $43,000. Question: what is the projected annual increase should the expansion of TIF 17 be approved by the City Council? Answer: unsure at this time. Question: what are the current liabilities of TIF 17? Answer: owes TIF 3 $281,000 from the Conkright Development Agreement work and parking lot. Question: what is the annual payment on loans to other TIFs? Answer: next year there is $10,000 budgeted to pay on the loan, but the annual payment will depend on available funds. Question: what is the projected payoff date of those liabilities owed to other TIFs? Answer: unsure at this time. I want to again thank the mayor and Jamie for providing the information I requested in such a timely manner. Since that time, I found myself digesting the information I received and, as so often happens, thinking about other questions prompted by that meeting and discussion. The mayor mentioned that due to the current lack of funds in TIF 17, there would be a need to borrow funds from TIF 3, which according to the mayor is rather unique. When you look at the map of TIF 3, it's easy to see how the word unique is aptly applied, as TIF 3 extends from Illinois Route 157 at our western border through the Main Street corridor and beyond Greenmount Avenue at the eastern edge of the city, encompassing a great deal of territory between our northern and southern boundaries as well. TIF 3 is huge, and as one would suspect, home to most of the population of the city. It also plays host to its own set of infrastructure problems yet to be addressed. Not long after I was elected to the City Council, I emailed the chairperson of Streets and Grades Committee, the director of streets, the city engineer, as well as every member of Streets and Grades Committee, a list of streets within Ward 3 I believe in serious need of resurfacing. Many of those streets lie within the boundaries of TIF 3. I submitted a follow-up around the anniversary of the first email and an updated list to the city engineer April 9th, 2015. TIFs are all about taxes. Like so many others, I filed my federal and state, that's Missouri and Illinois taxes, as well as federal, over the weekend of April 3rd. When I look at my 2013 real estate tax bill, 56.2% of my taxes were paid to TIF 3. The year before, 58.03%, and the prior year, 59.7%, and the story repeats year over year going back to the creation of TIF 3. I'm bewildered when I think of how much money I and my neighbors have contributed to this massive TIF and what we've seen in return with regard to street resurfacing in our core neighborhood. The amount of reinvestment there has been virtually zero, although I was told the summer of 2015 holds promise for a couple of badly needed projects. That promise has faded into the fall and likely will be eliminated from reality as fall turns to winter. Some of this delay can be laid at the feet of our state lawmakers, who seem oblivious to the fact that they are the disease which is killing us all financially. We can't ignore, however, our own culpability in how we administer TIF funds. It is, after all, this council's determination how those funds are allocated. Why do I bring that up, you ask? Because the mayor has introduced the idea of paying for the intended infrastructure and refurbishing of the Gustav Kernow home by borrowing from TIF 3, a TIF with so many other projects deserving of attention. TIF 3, whose property owners are entitled to those improvements by virtue of the tax revenues they pay to secure reinvestment in their core neighborhoods. Allow me to expand on this point. TIF 3 is due to expire in 2021, while TIF 17, if I'm not mistaken, has an expiration date of 2028. As of April 2nd, TIF 17 had a balance of $895 and a loan outstanding to TIF 3 for $281,000. Now that balance is currently a shade over $31,000, but it's committed to other obligations. This fiscal year, there's $10,000 budgeted to pay on the loan, no interest, I presume. Yet the annual payment, if any, will depend upon available funds. Another issue here is the language of the TIF Act. It doesn't mention loans, but rather the transfer of funds from one TIF to another. There is no provision in the language for the funds to be returned. In other words, reimbursement is left up to the city to determine. To date, we have not established a schedule for repayment. If indeed there were $10,000 each year available to pay against the outstanding loan, it would take more than 28 years to repay the existing obligation. That's 15 years beyond the life of revenue collection that currently exists for TIF 17. If TIF 3 expires in 2021, explain to me how the money borrowed from it and not repaid prior to its expiration is treated. If as a council we determine it must be repaid to TIF 3, how do we accelerate payment, and will it be able to continue making loans to other TIFs? As was revealed by the finance director's reply to that question at the last finance meeting, these borrowed dollars may well turn into a non-refundable gift from the taxpayers of TIF 3. When we embark on this path, we get into a revolving door we can't exit. While the question before us might be to simply provide $27,000 to Belcourt over 2 years, knowing where this is leading, the next request, expansion of TIF 17, the redevelopment project for the Meredith home, do you truly understand the negative impact on those people who in good faith contribute their tax revenue to TIF 3 and have the expectation to see a return on that investment within the neighborhoods that encompass TIF 3? I can't support this request. I don't know how you look your constituents in the eye and tell them this is more important than their streets being resurfaced, their curbs replaced, their sidewalks made safe to walk. Aldermen have a choice to make, a choice and consequences we all must live with for a long time. You may find ways you can rationalize your decision, such as this request and vote as a consequence of the inspection the fire department executed and the subsequent findings based on the American with Disabilities Act. Do we open the door for everyone to request and be granted financial assistance each time an inspection reveals an ADA compliance issue? Perhaps at the next Police and Fire Committee meeting, we ask Chief Poor to forego any further inspections. This business development agreement contains no penalty clause. There is no mechanism to reimburse the city if the agreement is not satisfied. On top of that, the parcel number is not even in the name of the applicant according to the St. Clair County parcel website. Bottom line, how do you explain why others should pay for this when they so desperately need those funds within their own neighborhoods? On behalf of those who pay taxes in the TIF 3, I'll be voting no on this request. The issue for me is the funding mechanism. Thank you.
Are there comments, questions? Let me back up. Did we ask for a motion yet?
Yes, he did.
We got a motion and we got a second. Any further discussion? I've got some comments, but I'm not going to. Yes, ma'am?
Well, I'd like to make a comment. Belcourt Manor's in my ward, and I think they are a for-profit business, yes, but I think they perform a valuable service to our community. Many people from all over Belleville and the surrounding area use the facility there. It's lovely, and I appreciate the opportunity to help him.
Can I ask one question? Mr. Foss, did you go to the bank and ask for this money?
I've arranged a line of credit for part of it, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
No.
Randall.
No.
Tyler.
No.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
No.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Galletti. Elmore.
No.
Wigington.
No.
Musgrove.
Aye.
What do we got?
8-7.
8 ayes?
Yes.
Okay, then the ayes have it. Raise your hands up one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I would vote, chair would vote aye. So. it would-
The chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion would carry, okay? All right, good discussion. Move on. Motion from the Planning Commission. Do I hear, who's, Mr. White's on the Planning Commission. So, Mr. Dillman's on also. He can make that motion.
Sure. On behalf of the Planning Commission, I'd like to make a motion to approve the site plan for 4529 West Main Street / Community Financial Services, Alan Levy. And would it be okay with the council if I read that?
Anybody opposed to the second one being included? Go ahead, Ed.
Motion to approve the site plan for 660 Carlisle Avenue, Lot 6, Dunkin' Donuts, TRI Architects.
We have a motion, we have a second by Alderman Seibert, motion by Alderman Dillman, coming from the Planning Commission to approve those two site plans as recommended in your packet. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Yep. Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Police and Fire, Johnny.
Yes, Your Honor, on behalf of the Police and Fire Committee, I'd like to make the following motion. Motion to amend the contract with Code Red to include the boundaries of Stuckey Township into the City of Belleville emergency notification area, with Stuckey Township being responsible for all additional costs and becoming effective October 20th or as soon as thereafter, as the city attorney approves the contract. So moved.
Motion by Alderman Anthony, second by Alderman Schmidt. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Traffic. Who's, Alderman, Elmore?
I hope everybody got the handout. I just wanted to clarify some things from the original motion. Tim Gregowitz and I did inspect Remount Manor subdivision because there were some streets with different cross streets with different names and a stop sign that actually existed without an ordinance. I wanted to clarify to read the following. Keep in mind, nothing essentially changes from the original motion, but we're just making some things clearer. We're creating a four-way stop at the intersection of Commons Parkway, Cedar Grove, and Autumn Harvest. This is the same as the original. That's an example of two streets that cross each other with different names. Number 2, create a yield on Greenleaf Circle at Cedar Grove. Number 3, create a two-way stop at Winter Creek Drive and Turning Leaf Circle on Commons Parkway. This was originally going to be a yield sign, but the stop sign is already present with no ordinance. So this motion makes the ordinance for the city ordinance records to be correct. Create a yield on Chestnut Grove Circle and Sparrow Point. This only changes the wording, which included Sparrow Point as a cross street to Chestnut Grove Circle. And finally, in that subdivision, create a stop sign at Pine Valley and Commons Parkway. Number 6, create 3 handicap parking spaces in front of 201 North Church Street, known as PSOP. And number 7, delete the no parking in front of 201 North Church Street.
We have motion by Alderman Elmore. Do I hear a second by Alderman Anthony? Do I hear discussion? Everybody understand those changes as he read and that were passed out? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye and have the proper ordinances drawn. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance and Legal Review.
Motion from the Ordinance and Legal Review Committee, a motion to approve amendments to Chapter 18, Health and Sanitation, Article 2, Garbage and Refuse.
Motion by Alderman Musgrove, second by Alderman Schmidt. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. Galletti.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Communications.
12A, communication from Parks and Recreation requesting to hold the 9th Annual Gingerbread 5K Run/Walk on Saturday, December 5th, beginning at St. Elizabeth's Hospital at 8:30 a.m. throughout a designated route and ending back at the hospital. Also requesting barricades, police coverage, and temporary street closures until the completion of the 5K distance.
Hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Schmidt. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Seibert. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Petitions, we have none. Resolutions, I'd ask for a motion to read by title only, Resolution 3241 and 3242. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Dillman. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye to read by title only.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
14A, Resolution 3241, a resolution whereas the City of Belleville Art in the Square is sponsoring their event May 13th through 15th, 2016.
Let's do that one separate. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Schmidt to approve Resolution 3241. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington. Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 3242. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Schmidt. Discussion. Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. I ask for a motion to read by title only, ordinance 7897 and 7898. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Schmidt. All in favor of reading those two by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a problem with reading them two together?
No.
Go ahead and read them.
15A Ordinance 7897, 2015, Case 28, September 15, Dunkin' Donuts, CO TRI Architects. 15B Ordinance 7898, 2015, amending Chapter 18 of the Health and Sanitation, Article 2, Garbage and Refuse.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alderman Silsby to approve those two ordinances, second by Alderman Seibert. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington. Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any unfinished business?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
2 weeks ago, I asked for an opinion from our city attorney.
I think you talked to him.
Are we making any progress?
Yes, I'm currently gathering the remaining information, and I know you and I spoke after the Ordinance and Legal Committee meeting, and you asked if I would have it in advance of the September 28th hearing, and I said yes. I'm hopeful to have it this 7 days in advance like we had discussed.
Okay. I do have a statement I'd like to read under unfinished. My fellow aldermen, as we sit in session this evening, the mayor, our chief executive branch elected official, and his appointed and paid administration and employees continues to allow houses owned by Lindenwood University to be occupied illegally. Additionally, I have witnessed this weekend additional students that are moving into homes currently occupied in violation of city ordinances, and our mayor and staff look the other way. It has been 2 weeks since I asked the city attorney to give legal opinions as to the actions of the mayor's administration regarding Lindenwood University Belleville. 2 weeks was ample time to provide an opinion on the legal and liability concerns I have raised, as they are emergency concerns of direct and vicarious liability that likely will place us in tort law. As we continue to wait for Mr. Harner's opinion, the law continues to be violated. Students continue to be placed at risk, and the city's legal liability increases every day. And we all, as elected officials of the legislative branch, are in breach of our fiduciary duties to all residents and taxpayers of the city of Belleville. All of us are aware of what has taken place. Fees have been waived without the advice and consent of the city council that has sole authority to waive and bind such waivers. If there was even a request, Lindenwood University was given permission by the administration to occupy houses illegally, and houses have been occupied in violation of city ordinances for several years without proper or valid special use permits and/or variances. The mayor's administration has failed to do its legal statutory duty to uphold the law, and in my opinion has violated the law it is sworn to enforce. It appears the mayor, the director of housing, and the city attorney met and made the decision to allow Lindenwood University to occupy houses in and around August 2015, despite the number of students placed in these houses being in direct violation of city ordinances. I believe an outside independent agency must look at this situation to ensure transparency and that the city of Belleville is in compliance in enforcing all applicable laws equitably and maintaining our fiduciary duties to all parties of concern in regards to liability and tort law concerns. I now ask the mayor and his administration to enforce the law of the city and order Lindenwood University to immediately be in compliance with city ordinance and have no more than 3 unrelated adults in any house after proper inspections for filed occupancy permits paid in full in which they do not have approved special use permits or variances, or vacate the illegal homes in totality. Additionally, citations should be issued from the day these houses were illegally occupied and in violation of city ordinances to avoid the appearance of preferential treatment or allegations of discrimination and bias by others that may have legal standing. As elected officials sworn to uphold the law, we cannot sit by and do nothing. Our exposure only increases. Furthermore, if we do not take appropriate action, the city council as a body is just as guilty as those within the mayor's administration. I believe if the mayor, the city attorney, and any members of this council believe these actions were legal, then an outside independent investigation would be welcomed with open arms. Therefore, I request a special and emergency city council meeting be called for Monday, October 26, 2015 at 7 p.m. Proper public notification be made by the city clerk, as I am enjoined in this request by Alderman Trent Galati and Alderman Robert White for this council to discuss and motion a request that St. Clair County State's Attorney Brendan Kelly's office open an investigation of Belleville Mayor Mark Eckert and his administration regarding Lindenwood University housing to include but not be limited to waiving of fees, allowing occupancy of houses in violation of city ordinance, and the administration's failure to take action regarding houses occupied for years without special use permits. Also, I ask that discussions and possible motions in relation to Lindenwood University Belleville be placed on the November 2nd, 2015 City Council agenda. I, Michael Bittner, Alderman of Ward 2, City of Belleville, St. Clair County, Illinois, provide the above sworn statement of concern this 19th day of October 2015 AD. I'd like to make this record. So I'm requesting a special and emergency meeting be scheduled for the next Monday, sir. I believe the ordinance holds that there's only needs to be 3 aldermen to request it.
Mr. Hunter?
You've got adequate time to address that request because you only need 48 hours notice to set the meeting.
I do have a request that any information that's given to Alderman Bittner concerning this, what he required you be given all the aldermen at the same time.
I agree, because the last time he came with a paper here, I didn't get it until late in the day, the next day, even a copy of it. So, I mean, I'd like to have a copy of it for all of us. The last two.
Okay.
The last two.
The last one is part of the minutes.
It is now.
I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of this.
Okay,
Could I just add something?
sure.
I just want to say at this point right now, I don't know enough about this issue to agree with the substance of Alderman Bittner's statement. I provided my name and request as the statutory requirement to get the special meeting scheduled. So that, in that context, is the reason that I provided my vote. And once any sort of evidence is provided, then, you know, I may or may not agree with the substance of any sort of allegations that were just made. Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Miscellaneous and new business. Motor fuel claims the amount of $67,101.59. Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Schmidt. Any discussion on motor fuel? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella. Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby. Dentelman. Seibert. Galletti. Elmore. Wigington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. Ask for a motion to go in executive session for the
So
purpose.
moved.
For the purpose of discussing personnel, litigation, workman's compensation, and no, there's no property acquisition to my knowledge.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Kinsella. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have a couple action items when we get out. Mike?
I was going to go to Tavern on Main and grab something.
Okay, we're back in open session. I'd ask for the first motion. I'm asking for a motion to approve to give the mayor permission to sign 2 workman's compensation settlements once we receive the final signed documents. That would be the first motion.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Tyler. Do I hear discussion on the first motion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. Galletti.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington. Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. I now ask for a motion to, first, next one would be a motion to approve, give the mayor the authority to approve and sign the utility tax agreement once it's presented to us possibly as soon as tomorrow with their signed signatures.
Second.
Who was that? Motion by Wigington, second by Schmidt. Discussion on that settlement. Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. And then I'd ask for a motion to give the mayor the authority to sign, as Mr. Harner has it ready, a repayment agreement. That all I have to say? Motion approved. Alderman Hazel, second by Alderman Schmidt. Discussion on that explanation. Motion to approve a repayment agreement. Repayment of an agreement we had with someone with the city of Belleville. And all those details will be released as soon as the final documents are prepared. Correct? Yes. Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
No.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Dendelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Galletti.
Abstain.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to adjourn?
Mayor, could I ask?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just want to ask Mike, and just for clarification, if you don't mind, I've got several questions. The first question may cover my other ones. Just give me, what's this meeting that you're calling for next Monday night again? What's the purpose and what are we trying to accomplish since zoning is coming up on the 28th? Just kind of give me an idea, clarify what this meeting is about.
This is an emergency city council meeting to discuss the motion to have an outside independent agency look into the dealings of the mayor, the administration, as far as dealing with Lindenwood University.
Okay. Now, are you expecting the full council to be here since it's an emergency council meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
We have to
Is
call
this-
around and get a quorum.
Okay. Is it open to the public?
Has to be.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking these questions. Are you expecting Lindenwood to be here to answer questions? I mean, are they being notified of this? Are they expected to be here to answer some of these questions or not?
I wasn't expecting Lindenwood to be here.
Okay. And then also at this meeting, are you expecting City Attorney Harner to answer some of the questions you've already relayed to him? Are you expecting him to answer this in this emergency meeting that particular night?
Hopefully I'll have something before then.
Hopefully, we all will.
As you and I spoke to the ordinance legal committee, you asked for it in advance of the 28th, and I told you that I would give it to you 7 days in advance of the 28th, so you will have it.
Okay.
So are you looking for maybe on that night, if he's got the information, a discussion of those points?
Yes.
That particular night?
Yes.
Okay. Next Monday.
I have a question. Considering the sensitivity of the allegations that Alderman Bittner has made, how can we discuss that in open session with the possibility of going to litigation?
It will depend on the nature of the question. So there may be an executive session necessary. It depends on the nature of the question.
I would also request Alderman Bittner to give us the information that we're going to discuss that night, because we're going to come in here without that. So we need a document that the allegations and all that he's making that needs to be certified, that we have some information before we walk in here that night cold.
Yes.
Phil, are you suggesting that we get the same answers to the question that,
I think anything that he gets, this council should get.
right, we can't come into this cold?
Garrett, were you not going to give the answers just to me, or were you going to give
No,
them
I
to all
fully
council?
intend to give them to the entire council.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
The 28th at the zoning meeting, we should reasonably expect Lindenwood to be here to answer questions from us and the public.
As the applicant.
I'm not in favor of having an open meeting for this. I think it's got to go into executive session. There's too much sensitive information here that's going to be discussed.
It will depend on the nature of the discussion.
Depend on the nature.
Timing of it doesn't give us enough time to review all the information.
Well, especially with the zoning board meeting 2 days later scheduled. It's jam-packed. Yes, ma'am.
I think we should wait until after the zoning meeting, but at any rate, I move we adjourn.
Yeah, we can't hear you. We can't
We
hear
have
you.
motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry. I move we adjourn.
Oh.
I think we should wait until after the zoning to discuss any of his allegations.
Well, we need an idea.
There's a motion to adjourn, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.